long as you show up, you put a smile on your face and you work through it, it's going to be okay. That's kind of how I've tackled every challenge I've had in my life. What's the worst that's going to happen? Let's go.
From street sales in Cyprus to building a $3.5 billion property group, Kristofi built it all from the ground up. No degree, no shortcuts, just vision, strategy, and relentless execution.
Now, you've heard the term rent money is dead money, yeah? I say rent money is smart money if you invest. So people say they were eating humble pie. I was eating it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I got smacked back down to reality quick. But upon reflection...
Kristofi, welcome to the house story.
Thank you for having me.
Mate, I'm excited to find out a bit more about you. Why don't you take us back and tell me who Chris was as a young fella?
A young fella. Well, I grew up in Australia. I went to Cyprus because both my parents are Greek Cypriot from the age of 9 to 16, which looking back were very formative years for me. I got my first job at the age of 10, selling scratch tickets. My uncle would give me 32 tickets on consignment. 30 I had to pay him for, 2 was my profit. So on the weekends when I wasn't at school, or when I wasn't wagon school, I should say, I was selling tickets on the streets. Very shortly after I got that job, I was one of his best sales reps. He had about 6-7 sales reps. And my strategy was just speak to everyone. I was good, I was charismatic and funny, so I'd always sell a lot of tickets. We had 3 months summer holidays because Cyprus is very, very hot. So I'd work throughout those 3 months. And I'd make quite a lot of money through my sales. And then when 3 years later, my dad bought a supermarket, and I just became in love with supermarket and business, and I started to learn stuff, and I was always a hard worker. So that's probably where the working started, or the earning income started.
And did you go to uni?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I finished school. So when I was in Cyprus, I went to a private English school, grammar school. I wasted a lot of my dad's money going there.
Okay.
I always had troubles at school, so I was dyslexic,
Yeah.
couldn't focus, always doing 100 things. My head was more, how can I make money? How can I be out of school? And I remember my dad used to go to, back in the day, he used to go to, in the classrooms, and you'll see the teacher and they'll tell you about how your kid is performing. So my sister's a year and a half older than me. I'm the youngest of 4. And he would walk in. She's a very smart student and a great student. So she would always get glowing reviews. Then he'll come out of that classroom, walk into the next classroom. It was my teacher. He'd always look and say, your son doesn't pay attention.
Yeah.
He's quite smart, but he's just always joking in class and doesn't do his homework. And he'd walk out, he'd look at me, shake his head, be disappointed, and go, for once, he goes, I want to walk out of a classroom and they say what they say about your sister Artemis, and they say that about you. And I say to Dad, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. So that happened at school. I was always a few years behind, like I couldn't really understand the curriculum, but as I got older, I realized I just wasn't interested at school. So I remember I failed year 9, and it was for a couple reasons. Got suspended a few times for misbehaving. And they were supposed to expel me, but they didn't, because I was a very popular kid. I was a larrikin, so I was funny. So there was one particular story, I wasn't allowed to go to an excursion. It was an English literature excursion as well. They were seeing Macbeth play, and I was doing English literature. But because I got suspended, me, my best friend Chris and Steve, they said, you can't go to the excursion. I was very upset, so I wanted to do this play. Now, my other friend, who was a soccer superstar, was upset because his mum won't let him play soccer, and my other friend was just upset.
Okay.
I was just more concerned about not going on an excursion.
Yeah.
The whole classroom rallied that all 3 of us should go, because that's how much they loved us.
Yeah.
So they came to an agreement that we go to the Macbeth play, but they suspend us on 3 different days.
Okay.
Anyway, long story short, I failed year 9 because they said to me, if you go to Australia for X period of time, because you're so absent, we're going to fail you. I said, no, you won't. I left. I came to Australia for a year for a holiday. I came back. They failed me.
They failed you.
Yep. So I lost half a year there in year 9. But when I got to Australia, I don't think I've ever shared this story, funny enough. When I got to Australia, I made up my half a year.
Okay.
Because obviously the start of the year here starts in
different.
January.
Yeah.
The start of the year starts in the middle of the year there. So when I came back to Australia, I went to Keilor Downs Secondary College, and I started my VCE. And they said, what year were you in there? I told them a year higher. And they said, okay, when your report card comes, we'll give you credits. I said, okay, knowing that I don't have a report card from that year level. So I had to do half of year 11 and then all of year 12.
Yeah.
But I couldn't fail anything because then I wouldn't pass my VCE.
Have enough credits. Yeah.
So they were waiting for the report card to give me some credits. Meanwhile, I knew that there's no report card.
Coming.
I have no credits.
Yep.
But I picked classes like systems, auto, and easy things. And I did Greek school on Saturday to get some extra credits to allow me to potentially fail some of them. Long story short, no report card came, but I gained my half a year that I lost from failing year 9. I finished year 11 and 12 with the lowest possible honours, but I graduated, kilo downs, and I applied for a bunch of schools very ambitiously for unis. Didn't get into any of them. I think I got eventually selected, and I went to Broadmeadows, Kangan, Batman, TAFE.
Okay.
Ironically, for anyone who knows me, I got into IT. I can barely turn a computer on, right? But I got into IT. And I go, Dad, I got in. He goes, what'd you get in, Chris? I go, it doesn't matter, I got in, Dad, but it was like my 4th or 5th option. So I went to Broady TAFE. And for the first 6 months, you become a technician or a programmer, so you do modules on both. Anyway, I'm not good with my hands by any means, and I wasn't a good programmer, but when you go in, we were doing with, I think it was Pascal, you can go into the test and you can look at other tests and you can put it together. Basically, you can bring up, so my first program I ever wrote, I got an A+, like a high distinction.
Okay.
And I've never written a program before.
Yeah.
But I could take other programs and look and try to figure it out. Second test I did was the second program I ever wrote, and I got a distinction. And the teacher goes, you can be a very good programmer. Have you been practicing, Chris? I said, yes. Meanwhile, they were the only 2 programs I did.
Yeah.
But because I could take other programs in, I just figured it out.
Interesting. Okay.
And I
So you'd almost seen like other successful programs, and you just
the only 2 programs I've ever done were both of my tests. And I go, there's no way I'll program. I hate this. Right? So I got through all of my classes. I failed one, which was touch typing. I'm a very slow typer. Eventually, I passed it. How did I pass it? I wrote half of my 2 paragraphs of my program. Back then, the computers, you can press down and it drops down to a little Dropbox. Half of it was already pre-typed it. Start, I popped it up, and I barely passed.
Yeah.
Touch typing was the only thing I failed. I got through everything else.
Yeah.
But I knew IT wasn't for me. So while I was doing IT, I was also studying. I was working 3 jobs, and I was trying to become a professional snooker player. And I was fighting because my brother was a professional fighter. I loved fighting. I had 7 fights as a 17 and 18-year-old, and I played snooker. So in Cyprus, when I was growing up, I played snooker, pool, 8-ball back then, and I used to play for money. So where I made all my money was selling tickets on the streets and hustling pool. And the reason I was never at school, I was always in pool halls because I loved playing pool.
Yeah.
So I grew up playing pool and snooker. When I came to Australia, I continued my snooker. I got to a very high level, state level, and I tried to turn pro, but I wasn't good enough. I represented Victoria 5 times, under 18s, under 21s. A few of my friends went on to great things. One in particular became the greatest snooker player in Australian history. He's the greatest snooker player outside non-Britain. His name's Neil Robinson. He was world number 1. Won 24 ranking events, was a 2010 world champion, 2003 under 21 champion. He won in New Zealand. He's an amazing athlete. So if anyone looks up Neil Robinson, he also this year got awarded an Australian Award of Merit for his services to snooker. He lives in Cambridge, one of my closest friends. So I had a lot going on. I wasn't really the best student. But after I left school, funny enough, is when I started really reading books and educating myself. So right now I'm an avid learner. I listen to audiobooks between 1 to 4 hours most days. So I've completed 86 books already this year through audio. So I usually buy the books, the hard copy, and I buy the audio version. So I get the book read to me while I'm physically reading the book. So ironically now I upskill myself all the time. I love learning. And yeah, it's been, when I was at school, I realized I didn't like learning, but I didn't like learning what they were teaching me, or it was boring me. So the reason I wasn't paying attention, it just didn't keep my mind, I guess, occupied. Now I love learning.
What specific books did you start reading? Like, what were some of the first?
When I first started,
Yeah.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. So I was a nut when it comes to sales. Like, I was a natural at the age of 10. But looking back at all the jobs that I've done, because I've done a lot of jobs in sales, door knocking, telemarketing, I worked for Fastway Couriers, I sold finance, I sold property. And any job that I did, I was very, very good at. But I studied sales intensely. But a lot of the stuff that I was studying, I did Tom Hopkins courses, Brian Tracy, Anthony Robbins. The list goes on and on and on. I spent so much money, seminars, courses, traveled the world, upskilling myself. But a lot of the things that I learned, I was doing instinctively as a 10-year-old kid, how to approach people, how to talk. Now, sure, as I was getting older, I was becoming more refined and getting better. And you sharpen your skill set as you're growing. But sales was always very, very natural to me. Speaking to people was very, very natural to me. And I never had the fear of going up to anyone. And I think that really helps. And as you get older and as you do it more and more, you get better and better at it.
And Chris, what are you known for now? Let's fast forward.
As a business person?
Today, yeah, Chris Christofi.
I don't know, that's a good question. If you ask people what I'm known for, my strengths would be people. My strengths would be sales. And if you ask 4 or 5 people describe Chris in 3, 4 words, I'm very, very sure they're going to say the same words. You know, when you study people and you try to become like an idol, I never study anyone. I study human traits. There's certain words that I want to embody. So if you look up certain words in the dictionary, they're the things that are important to me. So if you ask, describe Chris, I think people would say he's relentless, he's kind, he's compassionate, he's a joker, doesn't take things too serious, and he's a hard worker. And most people would say that. So I remember when I was writing a book, someone asked me that question. I said, I'm probably going to give you a biased answer. Why don't you ask, I'll put you in front of 5 or 10 people who've known me for 20 years, and why don't you ask them that question? They said, that's a great idea. I go, what did they say? They said they almost said the exact same thing. So that's because I paid them I gave them a script. And they said you're relentless. They said you don't stop. I said, it's probably better to hear it from someone else. So all the traits that I had as a 10-year-old that I've carried across all my careers would be that I just keep going. I just keep improving. If you speak to my mentors, and a few of them, I just celebrated 20 years in business, they said, tell us about Chris. One of them said, it's a privilege to work with, something along those lines. I've never met a more avid learner. My teachers would find that very ironic, but it's kind of how it was. And one said, I've never met someone who's more relentless when it comes to questioning things and wanting to know more in a humble way. So I think humility is very, very important. I think I'd be described as a humble person, a giving person, which is very, very evident when you look at the philanthropic work that my company does, the philanthropic work that I do, and the example that I try to set for my 4 children.
Where do you think those traits come from?
My father. So my mother is the most relentless, hard worker, gets it done, no excuses, just relentless. I get that from my mother. When it comes to being a kind, giving human being, I've never met a kinder person than my father. I've never met anyone that will say a bad word about my father. He's a very religious man, goes to church every Sunday. Till recently, a month ago, he doesn't drive anymore, he's 82, but he watches every Sunday at home. My brother-in-law connected his TV. Just a good man. If he's got something, he'll always share. He's a humble man. He's a hard worker. Very, very well-mannered. He worked at a bookshop for 30 years, Collins Booksellers at Westfield. Back then, you had to read books if you're going to recommend it. It's not like hey, put it in Google, put in ChatGPT, doing all this stuff. So he's a very well-read and affluent man. So it's a very, very unique mix when I look at my mother and when I look at my father, and especially when I look at my grandfather. So when you look at, you spoke about the book, what book have you read? Rich Dad Poor Dad is one of the first one. Most people have read it. He talks about his real father and his other father. It's very, very similar stories to both my grandfathers. One was a very conservative, hard worker. I wouldn't say an optimistic man, a good man, but not an optimistic man, my father's father, which is where that conservative approach comes from. I look at my mum's father, a beautiful man, gambler, which I got the gambling from him. Everyone loved him. He was a butcher, but he gave all of his kids land. If you could afford land, if you could afford property, buy real estate, put your money in wealth. So it's a very contrasting upbringing, my parents. One was very, very conservative. One was not a high income earner, but did very well with with his means. And he had a good philosophy in life. So I see their upbringings in both of them. But as I say to my kids, it's my job to get the best out of my parents, share that with you, and it's your job to be a better version of what I give you for your kids. You know, we usually pass down our lessons. It's important we don't pass down our traumas from our parents. We pass down the good parts. And our kids become even better versions of that. So that's kind of what I've taken from both my parents and grandparents.
Yeah. And so are you of the opinion that entrepreneurs are made, or do you think that they're formed by their environment?
Is it nurture or nature is always the question. It's a very, it's a good question, a good debate. I think they're both significant. I think you can always make it, but let me ask you something. If you're born into like a great family, like me, now what I mean by great family is I was given everything growing up. A great house, food, 3 amazing siblings, and 2 beautiful parents that are still married. You can't ask for much more than that, can you? Now, when I say everything, I built the business from the ground up, started, which we'll probably talk in a bit later, but that's a pretty good opportunity. The rest is up to me. When you're born into a dysfunctional family that had all these challenges at a 2nd, 3rd generation with major trauma, it's a lot harder to recalibrate. But when you look at stories with a really bad upbringing and there's 2 sons, one turns into an amazing human being that gives, and one turns into an exact carbon copy of their father, and they ask, why did you turn that way? And they both respond, because of my father. It's the same answer, isn't it? But what they took from that is, I'm not going to be
Very
this
different.
way.
Yeah.
I'm going to be this way. So nurture or nature, I think they're both important, but I don't believe in being a victim. I don't believe in making an excuse for your upbringing. I believe in looking the best parts of it and make that shine. What you're born into is not your fault, but how you live your life is 100% in your circumstance. And I read a lot on Stoicism. It's one of my favorite topics. And you can't, you can only control not the hand that's given to you, but how you play it. You can't control events that life happens to you, but you can control how you respond to those events. And I'm a big believer in that. And I think that all good entrepreneurs or good human beings understand that you can choose how to respond, and you can respond with humility, you can respond with kindness, or because I got beaten up and I had a bad childhood, I'm going to make yours as bad. And, you know, being ethnic, I've heard 1 billion times, when I was growing up, or this was hard for me, so I'm going to make it hard for you. I don't want that for my kids. I want them to be a better version of me, a more enlightened version of me, a kinder version of me. I want them to take all my good traits and embody that forward. So when I look at my 4 kids, for me to know that I've done a good job as a father, I want 2 things from them. And I say to them, I want you to be a good, giving human being that people walk away and they say, this is a good person, you've got good manners and you've got good respect and you treat everyone equal. That's the first and the most important. And the second thing, no matter what job, no matter what career you choose to do, you do it with impact and you lead with your heart. You do it because you love it. It's not led by money. So if you're making 10 million a year and you're not loving what you're doing, or you're doing it in an unscrupulous manner, I don't call that success. But if you're doing a job that's having a positive impact on people and you're really helping people, I think you'll find money or you'll create opportunity or money. And money might not be important to you. There's no wrong or right. Who's to say what formula is good or bad? But how to treat people is very important. And I think being kind is everything. Being humble is everything. And that's the influence of my father.
Profound. Is that mindset the reason why you think you've had so much success in the past few years?
I think it's a big part of it. I think I'm just a grateful, happy human being, no matter what. If there's a setback, what's the positive? There's going to be a positive coming up. If the setback's massive, it might take me a bit longer to see the positive, but I know what's going to happen. I just might take time to see it. So as long as you show up, you put a smile on your face and you work through it, it's going to be okay. That's kind of how I've tackled every challenge I've had in my life. And I've had a lot of personal challenges through almost losing my son, through being divorced. I've had a lot of company challenges. I've dealt with them all the same. What's the worst that's going to happen? Let's go. And that's it.
Take me back to your earliest business venture. Tell us a little bit about that.
When I started in business, so I'll take you back a little bit before that. So I was in sales, as I mentioned, and my fiance at the time saw an ad in a paper and it said 120K plus sales professionals wanted. Do you have a car, fax and phone? You got a good attitude, call this number. Tick, tick, tick. So Mel cuts it out and goes, this sounds like you, give it a call. Dial the number, go, hi. The lady who answered the phone, her name was Robin. She was the EA to the owner, Jason Paris, at the time. She goes, how old are you? I said, I'm 19. It was a job as an in-home consultant, which is what I do now. I've built a business around this first job. I go, I'm 19. She goes, you're too young. Don't hang up the phone. Don't hang up the phone. She goes, what? Let me come in for the interview. Let him see me and say no to my face. Please don't hang up the phone. She goes, all right, you can come in for an interview. Fine. So I went in for an interview at the time. It was me and another fellow. He probably thought, I'm not going to spend an interview with this guy. He's like 19. So there's two of us. He pitched me. He said, what do you think, Chris? I said, I'll be honest with you. I don't know the difference between commercial or residential real estate, and I live at home with my parents. If you give me a chance, I'll be one of your best guys in 3 months. He looked at me, goes, you're on. The rest is history. I never sold real estate before, so I was an in-home consultant at that stage. What that meant was I'd go in their homes. They answered usually a cold call, and I'd go in there and I'd talk to them about going in to see a finance and a property consultant, and I'd charge them $330 to come into the office, and then we'd sell real estate. My first year I sold over 83 properties doing this, and I was the rookie of the year with no experience.
Wow.
But prior to that, I told you I sold tickets on the streets. I worked at my supermarket. When I was working at the supermarket, I used to sell VHS tapes. And I used to sell all the tourists so many tapes, and people would come from England and different countries, and they were looking for me that when they'd come to the supermarket, and they'd go to my parents, is Chris here? They go, no, why? He's incredible. I came in to buy this and I bought all these things. I'd sell them videotapes. So I'd always be selling things. Yeah. Then from there, I did door-to-door, selling AAPT. Then I did holiday concept, selling timeshare on the phone. Then I did fastway couriers. And every job that I got, I'd always go in and ask 2 questions. After that interview, I'd say, who's your best guy here? Now, any job that I mentioned, in-home consultant was Valerio and Duncan. Phones was Barry. Door-to-door was Mario Tucci. I knew them and I said, who are they? Can I spend 1 week with them? They said, sure. And I just used to speak to them. I said, I'm new. Do you mind if I shadow you and learn from you? And they go, yeah. And I'd learn. I'd copy the best parts of their things. I'd put them into my personality. And within the first month I did any sales job, if I wasn't number 1, I was in the top 3. And that applied to any industry that I went, because my skills were transferable. My skills were to human connection. I'm good at sales. I'm going to ask a lot of questions and I'm going to diagnose their issue, whatever it is. And I was good at what I did because I always thought I could outwork people. So going back to that role, he recruited me. I did 83 sales. And I remember one week, I got all these sales, and he used to come in all the time, the owner, with his Versace suits, and he always looked $1 million. I wasn't that refined back then. My suits were pretty shitty, cheap suits. I was doing what I could. And I said, I wanted one of those suits. And he goes, if you do 10 sales in a month, I'll take you to buy your Versace suit. Now, meanwhile, we used to fly people into Brisbane.
Yeah.
And I had a very healthy pipeline.
Okay.
So when I asked that question, for the first week, I had about 7 people flying. He goes, 10 people, you can get a suit, 12, you can get a shirt and tie as well.
Okay.
I go, cool. And then I showed him my pipeline, and he started laughing. Anyway, long story short, I did like 14, 15 sales that month, and I got my suit. That was the first time I got a nice custom fit suit. And I remember that more than anything. And it was such a big award for me because I saw how he looked and I liked it. And the beauty for him, when he bought me that suit, that was it. All my suits thereafter were beautiful custom suits because of that experience. But I remember sitting him down once, and I always made my intentions clear. So when I was working with my boss, I said, when I turn 25, I want to run my own company. This was when I was 19, 20. After the first year, I was speaking to the main guy, and I think I made 17,000 one week. That was all my commission just happened to land.
Huge, yeah.
And I asked for a meeting with Jason when he flew down, and he said, what is it? I sat him down like we are here, and I said, Jace, I go to him, I don't make enough money here. And he looked at him and goes, what do you mean? I was telling people how much money you made this week. I said, the hours that I work for you, I'd make that much at Macca's.
Yeah.
I go, in the next 2-3 years, I'll do anything that you ask me to do, and I'm going to outwork anyone, and I'll outsell anyone. But I want an opportunity in 3 years to be a national manager, and I want to make 400 grand a year minimum. And the reason I had that conversation is I wanted to set my intentions up clear. I never asked for anything, but I wanted to make clear that this is what I'm heading. This is where I'm going.
That's quite a profound conversation to have at such a young age.
But I knew what I wanted. So even when I was little, I knew I wanted to run my own business at 25, and I knew I wanted to be a businessman in a suit. Didn't know to what level, but I knew. And I knew that I wanted to earn big money. I knew that. I just needed to fall into what I needed to fall into. Real estate was a passion of mine, and I got into that. And I bought my first property when I was about 20. And people said, when did you buy and how did you buy? Well, I asked my father for my wedding present, an advance on my wedding present because I wasn't married. So I was the youngest of 4. So my father gave all of us a $30,000 deposit to buy our first home. So when I got into this industry, which is why I was looking kind of in that space, Mel cut out the ad for me. I asked my father for the money in advance. I was engaged, but who knows when I was going to get married. I said, can I have the money early, Dad? Because by the time I get married, inflations will eat that money and I'll have nothing left. He goes, what do you want it for, son? I said, I want to buy a car. I said, nah. Find a piece of real estate and I'll give you the money. The job that Mal found was as an in-home consultant. Shortly thereafter, 6 to 12 months later, I bought my first piece of real estate, a 3-bedroom townhouse in New South Wales, Tweed, 183,900. Sold it 6 years later for 328,000. So I made a 480% return on my 30,000 investment. But what I did do as the property was growing is I was buying 2, 3, 4. I bought 8 properties. By the age of 24, I had 8 properties. Back then, it was easier to borrow money. Back then, you could leverage more. Low doc and no doc loans were a lot more prevalent, and low doc and no doc loans were low doc and no doc loans. Now, you still need
some
a few
docs.
Back then, it was a lot easier. With the introduction of APRA and all the tightening of regulation, everything's different now. Anyway, long story short, I bought a ton of property for that age, and I got into that game. It all went downhill pretty quick, which we'll talk about later. But during that journey, going back to what you asked me, when I got to state I want to be the national manager, I made my intentions clear. Because what happens, I don't know where I got that instinct from, when I have that conversation at 24, you push that conversation 1 or 2 years later. I went up to him, I never asked him for anything, but I stated my intent. And ironically, in a couple of years later, I became the national manager. The guy who hired me, who asked me, how do you think you'll go, opened his own company. He made me the national manager. The first company that I worked at, there was a bidding war between both of them because they both were national managers. So I had a very good package. I'd won against the others in a very fortunate position. But I knew I was going to be there for a short time anyway because I always wanted to start my own business. I learned a lot from both of these people. They're a big reason to why I grew. But the company I was working for went into receivership, owed me 780 grand, and all the properties that I owned at the age of 24 I lost. I was over leveraged, and things.
What was it roughly leveraged? What did it look like?
My LVR.
Yep.
I was in the 85, 90%. But even if you're at 70%, it doesn't really matter if you don't have a job. So I was going to leave because I want to start my own business, and he said, "Find me someone as good as you." So I employed my older brother.
Okay.
I trained him,
Yep.
and I left. And he said, "I'm going to give you a franchise that I want to sell for 250,000 each." I said, "Okay." So it's kind of my own business. I've got to buy my leads, and I get most of the margin. That's why he owed me 780,000, because when it went under, I was a franchisee. Now he knew that if he got me as a franchise, I'm a home run. So he can sell it off the back of me succeeding. But that unraveled pretty quick. We went into receivership. The company I was representing, I started gambling. I started partying a lot. Now, the worst part, my son got bacterial meningitis. He was hospitalized for 2.5 weeks. He almost died. So now my son's profound deaf. He's got 2 bionic implants. So all this happened in the space of 6 to 12 months. Happened too quick for me to catch it. And I wasn't in the, I guess, mindset to be able to see what was unfolding. So it happened quick. So I had to move back into my parents' house. I had a debt of 348 grand, no assets. So people say they were eating humble pie. I was eating it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I got smacked back down to reality quick. But upon reflection, it's probably one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it made me realize, it made me recalibrate, it made me refocus. Now I knew that I could make money through real estate. I knew that I could build a business around real estate. I knew that real estate showed me a lot of success. I over leveraged, and my strategy was good if the market kept growing, if I had my job, if the properties were rented 52 weeks of the year, if. All these things imploded fast. So I don't know what the LVR was, and it might have, I don't think it was, I said 85. There was more equity in my real estate than that, but it was going fast because I lost my income.
Yeah.
And things
you
were
don't
just,
realize it just happens.
Yeah. And you got to remember too, when my son was hospitalized as well, I wasn't in the right frame of mind. Everything kind of happened super, super quick. So I moved back into my parents, and I launched Reventon on the 21st of March, 2005. And I slowly started to build it. 2008, I got an investor, I scaled it. And now I look back very, very proudly, and we'll unpack whatever parts you want to unpack. But I sit here now saying we've helped over 10,000 clients. 3,500 of those clients get into the property market. Over 3.45 billion in sales, over $1 billion under management, through financial planning, through finance and things like that. We've won over 50 industry awards, featuring over 150 publications. And over those awards, the last year we've won 9. And we, for the second year in a row, voted a great place to work with a 96% rating. The average for our industry is 60. Wow. We won 3 massive awards in our philanthropy this year. So for 8 years, I've been doing the Vinny CEO Sleep Out. I'm an ambassador for 7, and we raised 400,000 in one campaign. Doing the Sleep Out this year, which is the highest ever raised in one campaign, took us to 1.2 million, 1,218,882 to be specific. Highest ever raised by any company in 20-year history.
Well done.
Yeah, so
it's huge.
Those 2 things are probably things I'm very, very proud of.
Yeah.
And also, as I mentioned before, off air, I do a podcast as well in the 7th season. Now it's called Relentless Life on Your Terms, which we share different stories. And I've written a book called Your Path to Wealth Brick by Brick, which is an Amazon bestseller in 3 categories. I wanted to share what I've learned with all my experience. And through that, I've developed what we call the Reventon formula, which is a safe way to get into the property market. And our vision is to help create, build, and protect our clients' wealth for now and generations to come through using property investment. So I've written in that formula why I over leveraged and what to do to have the right safety nets in place. And obviously we can't unpack it all here, but I recommend anyone to buy that book. 100% of the proceeds, actually 100% of all money for that book is donated. It's a pure give back strategy, and I did that to share all the knowledge that I've learned throughout that time. So it's been an amazing journey. And there's been a lot of setbacks, but I always think challenges and setbacks, they're just redirection signs or they're just refocus signs. They're speed humps, they're never stop signs.
That's amazing. You've done a lot in the past few years, and I'm curious to understand, Chris, the team that you've got around you now, like what are the different services that you guys offer to support people? You mentioned you support 10,000 different people.
Yes, so we've had 10,000 clients. So I'll start from the start.
Yeah.
Our company we sold investment real estate across the country. So new builds predominantly, because new builds offer very, very high tax savings because 7 years depreciation on the fixtures and fittings, 2.5% over 40 years for the building. Also, I guess you invest in real estate for three things: cash flow, tax savings, and capital growth. So we play in the 500,000 to 700,000 space because it offers very, very high tax savings in a new space, especially its maximum tax savings. High capital growth. We target emerging markets across the country, which I'll talk to you a little about later, and good cash flow, 5.5%. So we tick every box. And the beauty of that is it's a easy formula to replicate. So in my book, I talk about brick on brick on brick. So I can buy one property, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so on. So we've helped 10,000 clients get into the property market. In 2011, I started a finance arm. So we help all of our clients with residential lending. We might look in other verticals as well, like commercial space. We haven't done that yet. We do property management throughout the country. So I've got quite a few property management arms. Victoria, it's Reventon Residential. In Queensland, I've got a company which I'm a part owner called Active. In South Australia, one called Real Estate Custodian, I'm a part owner, and another two that I'm about to launch. Then we do accounting services and property management, financial planning.
So it's like the full suite.
Fully integrated service. So once we help our clients from A to Z, and we put a strategy in place, because when you go to 3-4 different providers, they pull in different directions. How important is it when you're playing tug of war that you're pulling in the right direction? So before we do anything, we do a strategy session. We want to unpack exactly what you're trying to achieve. I really want to pay off my mortgage faster. I want to pay less tax. I want to buy 5 properties. What is the reason that you're doing this? What's your risk tolerance? How old are you? How many kids have you got? What's your good debt look like? What's your bad debt look like? Once we unpack that and we work out exactly what you're comfortable with. Is it local? Is it interstate? Is it both? Is it Reventon recommendations? What is it? Let's unpack that first and really see what you're trying to achieve, and let's put a plan in place. Then let's get a team of professionals pulling in the right direction. Then let's do our 6-month reviews, because plans change, people's goals change, people's life circumstances change. I've got kids now. My kids are going to private schools. I'm going on holiday. I'm buying a new car. I want to buy more, whatever it is. And your strategy should be nimble. So it should adopt based on, I've got, unfortunately, I'm sick now. My partner's sick. They can't work, whatever the case may be. So it's good to put a plan in place, but you've got to revisit that strategy, and you've always got to focus on that. It's not a set and forget, buy one piece of real estate and off you go. You need to buy 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to sell this, buy this, whatever the case may be. So at Reventon, we look at all of those things. And by having all those services in one house, we know what your plan is. We've worked your plan together. But we also understand what your key motivations are. And then we're going to put that in front of everyone, and we're going to work towards it. So if I go to, hey, what do you think I should buy? House and land. What do you think I should buy? An apartment. What about you? Maybe a townhouse interstate. What's the right one here? Now, we can tell you what performs and where and why. And we don't want to sell anything to anyone. We want our clients to buy off us. But we want to give them the right knowledge to make an educated decision. Now, if we think they're making the wrong decision, why do you pick that in that area? Why is that important to you? What's the motivator to buy that? I want to buy that because I want to put my kid in it. Okay. Is security the most important? What if you rent where they want to rent and you buy where you should to make more money? So I've been a rentvester. My first property I bought was an investment property. Now I was rentvesting 25 years ago before it was even a term, before it was a thing, before it was even popular.
What is rentvesting for those that don't know?
Rentvesting is basically when you're a renter, but you own investment properties. So the benefits to rentvesting, and I'll tell you why I did it, and I'll tell you why it's become so prevalent now and why it's so popular. So I lived in Taylor's Lakes, and the house that I bought, I told you, was a 3-bedroom townhouse, New South Wales Tweed, for $183,900. Now, that was renting for $220 a week.
Nice.
So that's the rent I was receiving. I lived near my parents because I was young and I liked being that family network as well. Plus, I can't cook. So the house that I rented was worth $260,000. So it was worth more than what I bought. Yeah.
Sure.
I was paying $190 rent. It was old. It wasn't new. Now you've heard the term rent money is dead money. Yeah. I say rent money is smart money if you invest.
Yeah. In the right place.
Of course.
Yeah.
But we'll unpack that. So with the $220 I was receiving from Tweed, could I pay my rent here if I wanted with that money? Of course.
If you wanted,
so does one work the other one out? 183 was the purchase price. So my loan was 170. If I bought this 260, was my loan higher? So the rent pays the rent.
Yep.
I've got a lower lower loan.
Yep.
Good, tick, tick.
Yep.
Now, I bought in a better growth area than that. This outgrew this house. In 4 or 5 years, they're worth the same amounts
Goodness.
because this was targeted.
Yeah.
So what was better? What was more nimble?
Definitely the Tweed property.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, I forgot to mention, I had $6,800 a year tax savings. How much do I have in your own home?
Nothing.
Zero.
Yeah.
So it's good for a tax disposition. Can I move and be nimble here if I'm just renting? What's the downsides to this? They can throw me out. Get a longer lease. Go somewhere else. Big deal. What else? It's not a house that I call my own. I've got investments. I've got assets. Now, I'm not saying this is the right strategy for you because people might want their own home and it might be important to them. Fine. But I can tell you 100% unequivocally the right investment strategy to employees rentvesting, it's smarter, better, and more efficient. You'll make more money. Because also when I wrote about in my book, The Rental Pyramid, as the property price goes up, the rental yield will go down. Example, and not in all areas, but in almost all areas, a $500,000 property might rent for $450 to $500. So call that 4.5 to 5.2% return. $800,000 property might rent for $600. 1.2 million might rent for $800. So the rent.
Yeah.
So it becomes a renter's proposition. Now, when people are living in these beautiful apartments, there's also body corporates. The net return's even less. I'm targeting high growth areas. And what's the net return? So we unpack all of that.
Yeah.
Now, at one stage, I was still renting and I owned 23 investment properties. And I still followed that formula. So now the reason people are doing it, it's very, very expensive to buy where you want to live. And a lot of people want to live in a city because they work there. It's closer to their friends, where they go out, where they hang out and party, whatever. And it's still expensive. So they'll invest in regional areas of Victoria, South Australia, Queensland, Perth, whatever it may be. And they're targeted in prime locations that are 9 o'clock on the property clock, which means an emerging market that have forward indicators to grow. So it's a better, robust strategy. I might be redeployed to a different state or different country. It's easy if you're investing. Now, by the way, 100% tax efficient debt as well. So now people are kind of forced into rentvesting due to the property prices being so high and the median prices being higher. But it's still a better strategy to build your wealth. Instead of buying a $2 million property, why not buy 3 properties across the country that are in different locations that are growing at different times? Different states outperform other states in different times. Why not find what are the forward indicators and jump into those markets beforehand? Now, at Reventon, we spend a lot of money on research to make sure we find out the areas before they invest. Before they grow. Now, if you go before the rising tide and you build equity, guess what you can do?
Go get more property.
Keep going. If you don't borrow as much as you can, you don't over leverage, which we talk about the Reventon formula, it's safe for you, isn't it? Now, what people do is when you're buying a property that you can afford, as it grows up, you're building equity, correct? But if you buy a property that you can afford and you're not over leveraging, you can put a little bit on the repayment, you're borrowing equity twice as fast, which means your LVR safe, which means you can keep going.
Yeah.
Doesn't impact your lifestyle. So traditionally what people do is they walk into the bank, hey, what's my borrowing capacity? 900 grand. Cool. They go into their local agent. Why local? That's where they live. It's a good area. It's emotional. Sure, it's a good area to live. Does that mean it's the best area to invest?
Not necessarily.
And if it is the best area to invest, have you looked at it across Australia? Is it the best area to invest now? You're an emotional buyer, not a logical buyer, if that's the case. You shop at CBA because your parents shop there. You're a generational banker. Does that mean CBA is going to give you the best product? No. So let's go down that strategy. This is the best property for you at 900. I'm only showing you my own property. The rental yield's a lot less. It's probably an older property, doesn't have the same depreciation. Why don't you see what you can afford, borrow a little bit less, buy in a new area with high depreciation, with high capital growth yield, to be able to get into the market and go again, and again. And that's what I did. And when I wrote that book, I also did an experiment because action talks, money talks. Anyone can say anything. I was buying as many properties as I could over a short period of time. So I bought like 17 properties in just over 3 years. In multiple locations. I wanted no excuses from anyone. Hey, Chris, you just found a good location in one area. You made money. So I put a criteria. I've got to buy where I sell. I've got to buy from the builders that I use in multiple locations. So I say that it's research backed. We're not a one-trick pony. So I bought in multiple locations with a 100% success rate. The properties in a short period of time grew over 2.1 million in capital growth, had 430,000 in cash flow, 191 in positive cash flow. When people are saying, don't buy, the market's not right to buy now, I was writing about it. I was telling our clients where to buy, and I was personally buying in those areas. So when I do speeches as well on these seminars, I go, this is where I've bought, this is the names of the properties, these are the entities I bought them in. Take a photo of the slide if you want, stress test what I'm showing you. This works.
What about those people that will say you need to be a business owner or have access to that high level of income, Chris? Like, how are you?
I get that a lot too.
Yeah.
Don't buy 17, buy 3. You'll do it slower. Use the same principles that I adopt. I had a $2 million BC and you got a $500,000 BC? Buy 1. Then buy a second. You might not buy 17 in 3 years. You might buy 5 in 3 years. Is that still better? Now, by the way, once you get to a certain point, your cash flow increases, doesn't it? And your borrowing capacity increases. If you're not over leveraged, I'm talking if you're buying the right properties, you can keep going. So it doesn't matter if your income's not as high. You might take a little bit longer.
Why property over shares? Or any other asset class, for that matter?
Property is the safest, most predictable. Australians, especially, well, I'm ethnic, but bricks and mortar has always been a 73 out of 100 million do it through real estate because it's safe, it's predictable. And I'll give you a great example. I'll ask you a question. What do you think the main job of a bank is?
To lend money.
Correct. And what do you think they do very well?
Lend money
And assess risk?
And assess risk.
Would be a key component?
Sure.
Cool. So if I walk into a bank, to use a big bank, a CBA, and I ask them, I want to buy your own shares, how much money would they give me against that?
For shares in the business, in my business?
In the CBA.
You're the
CBA, I want to buy your shares.
Sure.
What would you give me?
As many shares as...
But what percentage? How much money though? 50%? 70%? But you got to put a big percentage of deposit?
Sure.
I want to buy that residential property. If I've got a very good BC now, will you give me 90%? What does that tell you?
Their risk profile is lower on property.
Because it's safe, it's an asset. This is against their own shares. Am I saying shares is not good? Absolutely, shares are great. Now, I know investors that make a lot of money in shares. So, you know, when you talk to people that sell real estate and they'll tell you why shares aren't good, they sell residential real estate, they'll tell you why commercial real estate's not good. I know people that have made a ton of money in shares. I know people that have made a ton of money in commercial. I know people that have made a ton of money in residential. They're all good strategies if you follow someone with a proven track record that knows what they're doing and that help you get in the market. Am I biased to residential real estate? That's what I sell. But is it safe? Is it the most predictable? Is it what Australians love the most? Yes, yes, yes.
And I think the Australian tax system is really set up to support residential purchases.
And why is it set up to? That's a good question. Why is it set up? Because it wants us to become self-funded retirees. There's something in it for the government. Pay me less tax now, but I'm not going to give you any pension later. Now, if you look at super, they're asking, our super's increasing. It has been for the last few years. It was 9%, 10%, 10.5%, and it's going up and up. People won't have enough money in super. Now, they want they want us to become self-funded. I don't want my retirement to be in the government's hands. I want to be in control of my money. Does anyone care about my money more than me? Does anyone care about my retirement more than me? So why wouldn't my actions be aligned with that? I'm not going to wait for the government to say, by the way, you're going to get a pension. Well, you're going to fail the means test, because the mean test keeps getting stricter and stricter and stricter, which means they're eating into your pension. And even if they're not, I don't want to be looking at, hey, it's Tuesdays, let's go to the movies today. Is there a discount in food so we can go eat? And what if they change the rules? They're telling you super's increasing. Now, back 50 years ago, there was 30 workers to one pensioner. Now we have an aging population. We're a baby booming population, so all these people are retiring. What's the government going to do? Increase our taxes, increase our super. By the way, they're already doing all this stuff. Decrease or eliminate the pension. Means test. All this stuff is happening. But why, even if it's not happening, why would I want my retirement to be in the hands of anyone other than me?
Yourself, yeah.
So we need to make sure that when we say these things, that our actions are aligned with that. Now, we talk about our family being important, the most important thing to us. Surely, on top of that priority list should be your financial affairs. Surely it should be to be able to look after your retirement. I ask people this all the time, and I'll ask you, what's the biggest debt you'll incur in your lifetime?
Property.
95% of the people say that. How big is your property debt that most people cover, do you think?
900 million bucks.
Call it a
in
million.
Sydney, probably million and a half.
So let's say $1 million. Your retirement's a much bigger debt than $1 million. It's going to be a couple, 2.5 million, maybe more over the course of your retirement. Now, if you're from overseas or you like to travel, like the nicer things, it's going to be more than that. But people don't see that as a retirement debt. She'll be right, I'll deal with it later. Deal with it now. Because the more you prepare, the more you plan for it, the better off you'll be. So people don't look at their retirement as a debt, but is it not a debt? When you stop
It's a really
working.
good perspective. Yeah, I've actually never heard anyone talk about retirement as being a debt. I suppose you only ever talk about saving super,
I've never
but
heard
not.
anyone say that either. I used to say that to my clients because I want to think about that.
Yeah.
And I also say to people, you know, folk, I started planning for my retirement when I was 19. And I had someone say to me, Chris, what do you want when you're 30? 10 houses and a Lambo. How are you going to get there? I don't know. It's what I want. Because the first thing you need is a plan. Then you need to work that plan. You need to action that plan. Now, no one's going to do it for you. Now, you go back to why real estate. You can live your life. You can go into someone that's really good at what they do. They can help you build your property portfolio. It's safe. It's predictable. Shares are a lot more volatile. Yes, you can make more money. Commercial real estate's a lot more volatile. Yes, you can make a lot more money. Development's a lot more volatile. You need more experience. Yes, you can make more money. This is predictable. An average Australian needs 1.2 million in retirement, 2.4 for a couple, and those figures keep changing. Easy to do that in real estate when you buy 3, 4, 5, 6 properties. You start paying them off and you start reinvesting your money. By the way, it's not that hard when you've got a good company that can deal with every facet for you.
Yeah.
So when you start looking at your debt as a retirement and you start taking action towards your debt, you start raising your awareness towards it, you get closer to that goal. But you know what that is. So people leave retirement too last. And I use this example, and it was taught to me by one of my consultants, and it was very, very funny and good and applied to me. You know when you go to school in January, February, and you get an assignment, and they say you have to hand it in at the end of the year, which might be October, November.
Everyone hands it in midnight that evening.
Yeah. When do you start that project?
2 hours before it's due.
Cool. If you're like me, maybe never.
Yeah.
But let's just say it's 2 hours before.
Yeah.
And what happens when you start at 2 hours before? You're not prepared?
Yeah.
It's not as good?
No.
That's what people do with their retirement. They're 50, 55, then they start planning. But imagine if you started in Feb when it was handed to you and you do a little bit. Hey, I'm not too sure about this. You go to your teacher, you find a little bit more, and how much easier would it be? Because you start to build momentum. People's retirement's the same. People's supers are the same. It's out of sight, out of mind. You need to start putting that conversation forward. I can't afford to borrow that now. You can afford to have a conversation. You can afford to pick up a book and educate yourself. If it's going to take you 2 years to get into the market, have that conversation. See if you can do it in 1 year. And usually you can. Do you know why? You can start to be aware of certain things and you can start to act towards certain things, which means you can move faster. So when I tell people, you need to start focusing on these things. No one cares about your money more than you. Your actions. Because I used to say to clients, what's important? I want to pay off my mortgage and build my wealth. And I said, okay, can I ask how? You're saying this, but show me the actions that you're doing. I want to pay off my mortgage sooner. Show me what you're doing to pay that off. What actions are you taking that are aligned with that goal?
What's your recipe? Yeah.
And they look at me. I go, that's what I'm here for. We're going to put a plan in place. I'm going to hold you accountable to it. And I'm going to get you there. Because, you put your head in the sand and, I write about it in my books like Ostrich Finance. You put your head in the fan, she'll be right. But no one's going to come and fix it for you. And then you retire, it's too late. I don't have time anymore. Have that conversation. And also it's good for your kids and your generations to see you having those conversations and taking those steps. For me, what my father did and helped me immensely, it wasn't the 30,000. It was the condition that came with that money. He would have gave me 200 grand at that age. I would have just bought a car. Probably would have blown it, who knows? The condition to that 30 is what started my love and obsession with real estate. Because when I got into the market and I learned, I thought I love this. And then I wanted to teach people how to do it. Even though I lost everything through what I did, it was just a redirection sign. It was, I need to reassess. And now it's a lot harder to over leverage like I did back then. So it's very, very different. But yeah, you asked me that question, what if they don't have the same income? Doesn't matter. You can start different.
Just
now,
start.
by the way, we're not talking about buying $3, $4, $5 million properties, are we?
No, 500, I think you mentioned.
5 to 7, but call it 6 now, or 6 has gone up a bit, 650.
Yeah.
People can afford 650. Now, if I had a higher income, I'd buy 2 or 3 off the bat. You might buy 1 or 2. Is the strategy the same? Yes. And then you start building momentum. It's like when you get on a bike, and I used to say to my clients, the first part's the hardest because you're building momentum. But as you change gears and you start leveraging, you go so much faster, you build so much more momentum because you've built that first initial go.
Yeah.
And that first initial part is buying your first house, is using that equity, putting a deposit together. That's your first gear. When you start changing gears and leveraging and buying more real estate, and when property grows in value, your wealth hasn't really grown much if you own one property. Do you know why?
Sure. Because it's just the one.
Everyone else has grown.
Yeah.
If you sell in that market, do you have to buy in that market?
Yeah.
Cool. So has your wealth grown?
No.
Relatively, everyone else has. If you bought 2 properties, has it grown? More. If you bought 3, has it grown? Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you're buying in a market or selling in a market, your money's you buy in that market, then you sell in it, it's going to even itself out.
Yep.
When you own multiple properties, that's when you build momentum. Now, when you buy in different areas, do you think you de-risk something? If you bought something 1.5 million, that bought in $1,000 a week, you're one asset, you're not as nimble. If you buy 3 assets that bring in $1,500 a week across 3 areas, are you more nimble? Can you borrow off one? Can you sell one? Can you redirect your strategy? How much easier is it? How much less risk is it? How much easier is it to duplicate? That's why the Reventon formula, what we do, is very successful. That's why it works. So when you said why real estate or why shares, I can predict, I can build your wealth and get you to retirement safely and securely, no problem. Now, surely you can employ riskier strategies to get there sooner. They can wipe you out also. So if you have a high risk tolerance, which I've had clients that have, Chris, I want to buy 10, and I know that they've got good businesses, I say, oh, I don't want to sell you 10. I'll sell you 3, 4, 5. Let me work this strategy for you here. I know that you're going to be safe, you're going to make money, and I want you to focus here so you can make a lot of money there too. But if that doesn't work, you got this as well.
What's common bad advice that you hear in this space, Chris?
In real estate?
Yep. Or investing?
Bad advice, as bad as it sounds, is usually free advice. Usually the freest advice is the most expensive. You need to go to people always educated me to pay people to give you good advice. So I've got mentors that I pay a lot of money. I've got some that just do it as a give back strategy. So do it yourself, not understanding where to buy, what to buy. You're not going to know as much about a broker in who's giving you the best rates. You walk into a bank, they're going to sell you one product. You go to a good broker, he gets paid by the banks and the lenders. Some charge a brokerage fee, but not many. They shouldn't. Go to people that know what they're doing. So bad advice is when you try to do it yourself and don't have the knowledge. Now, if you walked in to buy your own piece of real estate, can you do it? Sure. If we've done 10,000, we've helped 10,000 clients and sold 3,500 properties, do you think you'll do it as effective as us with the same knowledge as us? I hope not. It's like me walking into your job.
Sure.
Yeah, but I'm going to pay you a fee. And people used to say to me when I was in homing, hey, Chris, what's your fee? I said, does the fee matter? They go, of course. I said, okay. Fee's 20 grand. That's expensive. I go, okay, let me ask you something. It wasn't 20, but if I could say to you 100% in 10 years, I'm going to make you 200,000, but I want 20,000, will you give it to me? No, that's a lot of money. But if I can make you 200,000, yeah. Why would you give me that money? Because you can get me an outcome. And you're good at what you do, whatever the case may be. Your fee's relative to what you can do. What if you don't pay your fee and you buy the wrong property that sets you back for years? You over leverage.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of clients with the wrong situation that I've come in and helped, or they've borrowed too much money. I over leveraged when I was younger, so I understand that part. And do it yourself. It's like you're building a house. Sure, a guy that's half handy can maybe build a house. What about someone that builds a house every day? Will he do a better job? You'd think so.
Hope so.
And also, wouldn't you want to just do the things you enjoy, your job? Spend time with your kids? It takes hundreds of hours to research the right loan to take, the right area to buy, the right property management company. We do it all for you. But it's like, and I use this analogy, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. It's hard to find. But if I know exactly where to look, you're paying that expert. It's 1 centimetre from the top left-hand side, sticking out there, grab the needle. Because I've done it 1,000 times. It's very, very different. So bad advice is people that think they can do it themselves that have no experience. Bad advice is speaking to uninformed family and friends. So I used to call them chicken littles. Don't buy real estate. Meanwhile, what have you got? Oh, they're renting and they're broke. Yeah. Surely you're not going to get advice from them. It's like going to a broke financial planner. Hey, where do I invest? Come on, mate. Or you walk into a gym and the guy's 150 kilos, out of shape, eating some terrible food, and he's your trainer. Surely. It's the blind leading the blind. If you go to someone that lives and breathes their results, that's wealthy through using that methodology, I walk into the gym and I see a trainer who looks fantastic, talks about nutrition, lives and breathes how to train. That's my trainer. That's who I want. So now, you go to your family and friends as an example. Does your family want what's best for you? Sure. What if they don't understand that? And I used to use this example. Go, what's your favourite sport? Tennis. Cool. Who's the best tennis player to live? There's a couple answers you could give. Who would you? Federer maybe, Djokovic. Cool. So I'm Roger Federer, and I'm going to teach you how to hit a tennis ball, or you're going to go to your father who's never picked up a racket. Who are you going to? And they go, Federer. Why? Because he's the expert. So why would this be any different? It's an emotional advice. But it's my father. Cool. But he's never picked up a tennis racket. What's he going to do? This guy's an expert in his field. So for me, bad advice is thinking you can do it better, not researching. There's people, I've got no money, I don't want to charge all these fees. Pay for good advice. What's the cost of getting it wrong? What's the cost of making a mistake that's going to take you years to unpack? So there's so many things to look at there, but go to someone with a good track record that lives and breathes, whatever that may be.
Chris, what's next for you looking forward?
I've always got a lot of things in front that I'm looking at. I'm looking at a new product now. As I mentioned before, I was divorced, so I'm launching a bespoke property service for separated people to help rebuild. I haven't covered up with a slogan yet, but it's going to be something like rebuild, reinvest, something like that. Just with a fully integrated service that we help professionals with high incomes get into the property market again, or with people that have gone through a divorce that don't know where to start. A lot of people are very, very good at one area of their lives, but they don't follow that, and we take that and rebuild that for them. Obviously, the podcast, I do a lot of speaking, so I've recently, this year, I got invited to Bali to speak, doing a speech on the 9th of August in Melbourne at our RSV Club. End of September, I've been invited to Cyprus to do a speech as well on, it's mainly around philanthropy and business, topics that I love. I love meeting people, so I want to continue my philanthropic work. So this year was a very, very special year, as I mentioned. But we also built a house, which we paid off and donated in full, $840,000 to St. Vincent de Paul's. That was 4 years in the making. And this year we did our 5th Lead with Kindness charity event, which was to raise awareness before I do my sleep out. My 8th sleep out I did this year. We raised over $200,000 in one night. Over $70,000 of that was donated. So I don't want to share too much because I'm about to release and announce what we're doing. But in terms of business branding, we're going to keep providing great services to our clients, keep building the team, keep doing our philanthropic work. And as far as I'm concerned, I've got a lot of other things that I want to double down on. But yeah, it's 20 years in the business, which is great. But our plans for the next 20 are a lot bigger. And it's going to be measured by 3-4 things. Our client success, the impact we have on the community, and how I can build my team. Now, some of my team members leave the company and go on to do bigger things and grow their own companies. I'm very proud of that fact. I've mentored a lot of great people, and I've also facilitated a lot of people opening businesses in the space that are doing amazing things. Makes me very, very proud seeing them run great companies or seeing them facilitate their clients, because I always say it's the purpose of getting into real estate and building wealth. And I was in a podcast recently, I used Elon Musk as an example. He talks about Tesla. And his goal was to advance the
electric adoption
and building their cars.
Yeah.
Not for Tesla to be the number one, to advance. Now, he's got open patents on his cars. And I love that. Now, someone that has that vision, it's bigger than Tesla, it's bigger than money. So when I kind of wrote my book, it was for that reason. Invest $20. I don't make anything from that. I donate the full amount to educate you to get into the real estate market. So if I'm helping facilitate companies, individuals that open more companies like that, and hopefully give back to the community. It doesn't have to be through Vinnie's or through homelessness. I hope it is, but in any philanthropic endeavors, and we're doing good things, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And if this were your last podcast, Chris, what's something you'd want somebody to take from it?
It is my last podcast for the day. Love what you do and be good to people. Treat people how you want to be treated and be kind. It doesn't cost anything. And yeah, always try to be better and better. My goal is to be a better version of myself all the time. I want to walk into Reventon and not recognize it every year that we've evolved through our people, through our skill set, through our service offerings, through our impact, and through what we're known for. So just do good things, help people. Everything, what goes around comes around. If you do good things, I always say to my kids, money is a transfer of energy. It's a circle. If you give it, and for a good purpose, it brings its friends back to you.
It does, yeah.
If you do things and you want something from it, or through an unscrupulous manner, karma's going to come back with its friends as well and bite you in the ass. So every time I've rebuilt myself, always, it's been on the back of my name, but then the back of my reputation and the back of what I've done for others. So I don't mind falling, because if I fall, I'm going to get back up, and I'm going to have about 10 people picking me back up as well.
Chris, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me on your podcast, man. It was a pleasure.